Good morning, and welcome to the Africa Weekly Talk. Today's subject on the docket is the Democratic Republic of Congo. The DRC. The DRC's overtures of security for real earth mineral resources to the United States of America. That is today's subject on the docket, fellows. I couldn't believe it myself when I first heard it on the news. With regards to the DRC requesting the United States of America to make a deal for them to come to the DRC in exchange for security guarantee for the Democratic Republic of Congo. I couldn't believe it myself when I first heard about it. But that is what it is. But before I dive into this subject today, fellows, let's go ahead and hear what the DRC president had to say with regards to this issue when he had a sit-down interview with Brett Barr of Fox News, where he expressed his opinion and his country's plans for the United States to come to the DRC and invest in their mineral resources and so on and so forth. So before I dive into this subject, let's go ahead and hear what the president of DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, had to say, Brett Barr, and then I'll dissect this whole thing. So let's go ahead and hear what he had to say. All right, let's see the DRC. I couldn't believe it. Let's go here, share. Go here. Yeah, there we go.
Special report. In just a few moments, we will speak with the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo. But first, let's take a look at the history of the conflict in his country. This region has been ravaged by war over religion, ethnicity, and minerals since the 1990s. More than 6 million people have died. Now, the first conflict began amid the 1994 Rwandan genocide. It's when the Hutu extremists in Rwanda killed an estimated 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus, other groups. At the same time, around 2 million Hutu refugees crossed into the Democratic Republic of Congo, settling in the eastern region. This is in the red part here. A small portion were extremists who began organizing militias, prompting the Tutsis to do the same. Now, sporadic fighting would take place, all in the early 2000s when peace agreements were being negotiated. But that would bring the emergence of another group, M23. In 2012, the group took the strategic city of Goma, right here in the middle. They pulled out days later due to international pressure and fled to Uganda and Rwanda. Now, M23 then resurfaced in 2021 with an estimated 6,500 fighters that began to take significant control of the territory in that region. They shelled displacement camps, they cut off supply routes. Congo is considered the world's richest country in terms of natural resources. Untapped deposits are worth, get this, an estimated $24 trillion with a T. The country also produces 68% of the world's cobalt. It's the fourth largest producer of diamonds in the world. Lithium deposits are also significant. Now, China controls much of Congo's mining industry and is giving Congo's government drones and weaponry to defend those mines. Other countries also have an interest in the region. Burundi, a majority Hutu country, sees Rwanda as a threat, and it supports the Congolese troops. Uganda is defending against Islamic State-linked militants along its borders. They targeted religious groups in the Congo as well. Also, South Africa recently announcing a phased withdrawal of thousands of troops from eastern Congo after several peacekeepers were killed by rebels. While M23 leaders withdrew from peace talks this week with the Congo, President Tshisekedi met with his Rwandan counterpart this week for talks mediated by Qatar. The countries agreed to continue discussions to establish lasting peace in the region. It comes as the U.S. considers a minerals deal with the government in exchange for security assistance. I can tell you that we stand in firm support of the Congolese people and of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the DRC. We remain diplomatically engaged. We are joined tonight by Felix Tshisekedi, President of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Mr. President, thank you for being here. I want to start with this. The Trump administration is interested in securing exclusive mineral deals with countries rich in rare earth minerals. We saw that obviously recently with Ukraine. Can you talk about the discussions for a deal with your country?
Très bien, merci. Bonsoir à vous.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you. We are looking for partnerships, and we have established partnerships with many other countries, and we think the United States of America, given its role and influence around the world, is an important partner to have. And we are very happy to see that with the Trump administration, things are moving a lot faster on both sides.
Untapped deposits are worth an estimated $24 trillion. What would you need to happen to move forward with that relationship?
We want to extract these minerals, but also process them, as this would create a lot of jobs. And we want a partnership that will provide lasting peace and stability for our countries, which we need.
It's a dangerous place, the Congo. How would a U.S. company guarantee safety on the ground?
We can build our defense and security capabilities. And I think that the U.S. is able to use either pressure or sanctions to make sure that armed groups who are in the DRC can be kept at bay.
Mr. President, the United States has been concerned about China's influence in Africa, particularly in the DRC. How would you manage this relationship with Beijing while maintaining ties with the U.S. that you obviously want to expand?
Nature abhors a vacuum, as the saying goes. It's not that China is waxing in Africa. It's more that America is waning in Africa, and we would be very happy to have our American friends here who used to be more present than China in the 70s and 80s.
How do you think a minerals deal, if it comes to fruition, would benefit Americans?
Silicon Valley companies know exactly what I mean. And so I think this partnership will help these industries develop more and more innovative products.
I want you to address, if you could, and talk about the fighting in Eastern DRC, and how do you intend to resolve it?
The DRC has a neighboring country called Rwanda, which about 30 years ago experienced a genocide. The international community at the time asked us to open our borders to receive droves of refugees who were fleeing the fighting and the massacres. And since then, unfortunately, this hellish situation that was in Rwanda at the time has seeped into the Democratic Republic of the Congo. That is why we insist on having sanctions.
Last thing, Mr. President, it has been 50 years since one of the greatest sporting events involving U.S. athletes, the Rumble in the Jungle. It took place in your capital, Kinshasa. 1 billion people watched Muhammad Ali, expected to lose, defeat George Foreman in that fight. Can you talk about the legacy of that fight for your country and the United States?
Yes, of course. We still remember this event really galvanized the people and had everybody's attention. They were training here, and every time they went somewhere, people knew about it. So we really experienced a boom thanks to that, this historic fight that really put our country on the map. We really have a lot to give. And all we ask is really for an opportunity to live in peace.
Well, Mr. President, we appreciate the time, and we look forward to following all news out of the Congo and the DRC, and we'll follow this relationship with you and the U.S. Thank you very much, sir.
Merci, merci, M. Bayer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bear. Thank you.
All right, fellows. Now you heard it. You heard it. You heard it from the horse's mouth himself. President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo, talking about inviting the United States into a partnership for its rare earth mineral resources, in order for the United States also to guarantee security for the Democratic Republic of Congo. I mean, I couldn't believe this when I first saw it on the news. You know, I had to double check it about 2 or 3 times to make sure it wasn't the fake news. Because I've been hearing, and we've been hearing, how China is dominating in Africa and how Africans want China and China doesn't interfere and all that stuff, fellows. Now you have it. You heard it from the horse's mouth himself. The Chinese are already there. Apparently, they have most of the mines there right now. But why isn't the DRC seeking security from the Chinese? That's the question I want my fellow Africans and other African countries to be asking themselves. There's a reason why. And the reason being that the Chinese are there only solely, mainly for their own selfish needs, which is their mineral resources. The Chinese don't give a damn whether DRC survives or it doesn't. As far as they get the mineral resources that they want from DRC, that's all the Chinese want. You see, and the DRC knows that with the United States of America, it will guarantee them the security that they need for them to be able to live peacefully in that neighborhood. I mean, this civil war has been going on for quite too long. And the president also understands, because he can go back to history and knows that former DRC president, Mobutu Sese Seko, when it was called Zaire, he was the only African president in the 80s during the era of Ronald Reagan, who was then the US president, that will be invited to the United States and have a state dinner. And the red carpet will be rolled out for Mobutu Sese Seko. He was the only African president back then that the United States president and the government would do that for. It was Mobutu Sese Seko in the 80s. No other African president would get that kind of privilege in America back then. Because Mobutu Sese Seko, Zaire, DRC, was the only ally of the United States of America in that part of Africa. Because at that time, you had all these African countries that were aligned with the U.S.A, the Soviet Union. So because of the strategic importance of where DRC is located in Africa, it was the only ally that the United States can count on. And that was Mobutu Sese Seko. So Mobutu Sese Seko was given everything that he needed. Like I did a segment about a year ago or so, when I talked about Kabila could never have overthrown Mobutu Sese Seko had it not been the fall of the Soviet Union, period. There is no way Kabila would have been able to overthrow Mobutu Sese Seko if the United States and the Soviet Union had not disintegrated in 1991. It ain't happening because America would have put everything in there. Because America was holding Mobutu Sese Seko at that time anyway. I mean, they gave him everything because they needed Mobutu Sese Seko. They needed the DRC because the DRC was in the middle, and you had all these communist governments around DRC who were being backed by the U.S.A during the Cold War. So the Mobutu Sese Seko was the key ally. That is why they rolled the red carpet for him when it comes to Washington. That is why they gave him everything he needed. And this president right now understands that. He knows the history of it. That is why he's now turning to the United States of America to come in there and have a joint deal. I mean, to me, it's a great deal. I mean, if they can come up with a good partnership deal, I mean, it shouldn't be a one-sided deal. I mean, I can understand also that the DRC is kind of desperate right now because, I mean, looking at the situation going on right now, they really need help from the United States right now. They need that security guarantee because you cannot have this M23 rebels backed by Rwanda and other fraudulent dealers in that area taking land from Democratic Republic of Congo. I mean, you're talking about the mineral-rich resource areas of the DRC. Are now under some of them are now under the control of these rebels, which is being backed by Rwanda. Unfortunately, it's not supposed to be like that. But because DRC has so many mineral resources in that country, you have all the surrounding neighbors, everybody trying to pitch in to grab what they can. And this is a rare opportunity for them to do that. So I can understand why the president will want a security guarantee from a powerful country and the greatest country on this planet, the United States of America. He said it himself. I didn't say it. He said it himself. The reason why he's coming to America is because of that, because he knows it's only the United States of America that can guarantee him that security, that can also push away all these rebels and all these groups who have been taking advantage of the DRC's mineral resources for some time now. And it's the right deal to good strategic call for the president to take. I mean, look, desperate times need desperate decisions. And I get it. You know, some people will be like, oh, why are you selling your country? No, he's not selling the country. Because at the end of the day right now, look at it, fellas. His country is being occupied. I mean, the part that is being occupied, these rebels, the mineral resources is not going to his country. Definitely, these rebels are going to be shipping the mineral resources to Rwanda, and which apparently that's what I heard is going on right now. And then you have these fraudulent businessmen also who have some little rebel groups in some of these areas who are also shipping out some of these mineral resources and selling out on the black market. And he believes that if the United States is able to sign a security agreement with them, he can be able to drive all these rebels and all these groups out of DRC. I mean, is it going to be 100% free with no fighting and all that kind of stuff? I don't believe so. But at the end of the day, with the United States of America being there alone, I mean, I bet you, fellas, there will be a lot of stability in that area. There will be stability in that area. And they know that because most of these black market dealers that are siphoning these mineral resources from the rebels in DRC, they know it. They would even try to mess with the United States, period. And Rwanda also understand that. I mean, Rwanda, there's no way Rwanda will even dare try. So that's a good deal for him to make. I mean, but the only question is, what form of deal? I mean, how the deal is going to be shaped up and how, I mean, in terms of the requirement and also how much DRC is going to get and the United States is going to take and so on and so on. That is the key to this deal. As far as the fair deal, I hope in the meeting with Trump, he tells Trump what Trump has always been saying. He wants a fair deal. As far as the fair deal, where the DRC also maintains sizable amount of their mineral resources and investment from America to help create jobs in their communities, then I think it's a good deal for them to take. It's a very good deal for them to take because, and it's a good deal for that part of Africa anyway, central to the eastern part of Africa and all and pretty much Africa. Because with that deal, this civil war that has been rampaging this part of Africa for so many years, eventually will simmer down and eventually will end. Because, I mean, it's been going on for quite too long, fellas. It's been going on for quite too long, and it's about time they take a very sensible strategic decision. And that is what this president is trying to do. And I don't blame him for that. I mean, look, this rare mineral resources we're talking about, look, you guys have heard of europium. Europium was first discovered that it enhanced the color red for TV. That is pretty much what the United States came out with. When they found out that europium can be used to enhance the red color in television, They went to their desert in California along the Nevada border, the Mojave Desert. That is where they discovered these rare earth minerals about 80 years or 100, almost about 80 years ago. And then Americans started doing research on these rare earth minerals. And when they found out that europium in particular helps in the color red for television, the color television that came out and all that stuff came out of it. America had dominated in these rare earth mineral resources for so many years, but because of cost of production and all that stuff, eventually they let it go in the 80s. And then a Chinese company came to buy one of the magnetic companies in Indiana in 1995. And that's when the Chinese started getting real deep into rare earth minerals. And out of that, the Chinese have been exploiting that rare earth minerals resources that they've been getting all over from the DRC, other parts of Africa, and the ones also in China. And they have more or less tried to monopolize the market. Because if you look at what is going on right now, you've been hearing a lot about rare earth minerals and all that stuff. It's not by accident that the United States now and the Western European countries, its Western allies, are pretty much now focusing on securing these rare earth minerals, because the Chinese are more or less playing like a monopoly, especially since 2010, when they had that incident with Japan. The incident that happened in the deep seas in the Asia seas, where Chinese decided to stop selling rare earth minerals to Japan. That is what pretty much alerted the Western world. That's about time they start investing in rare earth minerals themselves to make sure that China doesn't become the sole distributor of rare earth minerals to various countries. And that is how they have become so used to now looking for areas where they can get these rare earth minerals, so they don't have to rely on China. And finally, you have a president in Donald J. Trump. I mean, even though it started with Obama started with this rare earth mineral stuff in America, but with Trump seeing what is going on with Ukraine, and the Ukrainians decided that, we're going to come and give you our rare earth minerals, and you can also guarantee us security and all that stuff. Now, Trump can see that, look, you have a lot of countries that are ready to make a deal with the United States of America, more or less giving up their rare earth minerals, which America and the Western world, and pretty much the whole world needs them, because it's used for everything from cars, ships, fighter jets. I mean, name them. Everything we use in this modern era, you need rare earth minerals in there. So basically, the whole world needs them. But it's a good thing for America, like America always does. It fights for the world, period. Because they don't want one country to monopolize these rare earth minerals. So for the DRC to also come in, just like Ukraine is doing, it's a good thing. As far as the deal is fair for DRC and fair for the United States of America, I think there's nothing wrong with it. I know there are some Pan-Africanists who will be like, oh, why are you selling your country's resources to America? No, this is not about America. This is about what is best for the DRC. That is what it is, period. Because at the end of the day, this country is being ravaged with civil wars, and all because of their rare earth minerals. I mean, going back in the 80s, like I said, when Mobutu Sese Seko was there, did you hear about DRC having civil wars and stuff down there? No. Because they had the backing of the United States of America at that time. So you didn't hear them fighting among themselves with other countries coming in for rare earth minerals or their mineral resources and stuff. But because of the disintegration of the U.S.A, America didn't need Mobutu at that time. So when Kabila and his rebels started fighting Mobutu didn't have the support that he had always had from the United States of America. That is why Kabila was able to overthrow Mobutu. There's no way he could have overthrown Mobutu had it not been the disintegration of the USSR. Because the Cold War pretty much, with the end of the Cold War, America didn't need Mobutu. But now, with these rare earth mineral deals and stuff going on around the world, this is a good deal for DRC to take. I mean, there's no ifs and buts about it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it as far as it guarantees security for them. Because the security for DRC is more important than anything else. Because at the end of the day, fellas, look at it this way. If you have rebels capturing your mineral resource areas, basically under the control of rebels, M23 and Rwanda and Uganda also mauling of getting in there. We have Burundi down there. All these African countries around DRC. Everybody trying to push. They try to poke a little bit here and there and stuff. At the end of the day, they need that security to be able to hold that country together, number one. So if you can get the United States to guarantee you that security, to hold that mineral resources together and the country as a whole, why don't take it? I think it's the best deal. They have to have it, that deal. It's a good deal for them to take. Because at the end of the day, one, they're going to have their mineral resources that they can, American companies can come in there, invest in there, build factories in there, manufacture products in there, and export some out to the United States or other places around the world too. Like he said, he wants Silicon Valley to come in there and invest in there. So it's a win-win situation for both countries. But like I also said earlier, I mean, he didn't go to China because the Chinese are already there mining some of these real minerals in DRC. The question is, why didn't he ask the Chinese to guarantee security? I mean, fellas, it's a wild guess, right? Because you know why? Because they themselves know that the Chinese cannot be trusted. That is the reason why they are not asking the Chinese to guarantee them any security. Because the Chinese don't give a damn about DRC. All they care about is the mineral resources that they are getting from them. So as far as China gets some from DRC, gets some from Burundi, gets some from Rwanda, and so on and so forth, they are good. They don't care about the stability of DRC. And the DRC president knows that. So looking around and said, hold on. If I can make a deal with the United States of America, with these real earth mineral resources, then hey, fellas, let's go ahead and make a deal. So they can guarantee our security for us to live in peace. And that's a good deal. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, look, ever since COVID, the whole world have come to know about the real intentions of China. Because when you started having the situation of supply chain issues with factories all across in Asia, Japan, America, when they start having that issue with supply chain coming from China, most Western countries and American and Asian countries decide, hold on, we cannot rely on China to supply us materials and equipment and all that, products and so on and so forth anymore. We have to look at this very carefully. And since COVID, I've always said COVID was the worst thing for China. Look at the economy of China. Chinese economy has been going down since COVID because you know what? Most US investment, European investment, Japan investment have now started pulling out of China. That is why the Chinese economy is in shambles right now. I mean, you can Google it yourself and you find out. China is not doing well. And hasn't been doing well since COVID because of that. Because at the end of the day, China's economy is based on what the West buys from China. And now you have Donald Trump in there also adding more tariffs onto Chinese goods coming to America and so on. So it's even making it worse and worse. And they add their real estate bubble that is going on right now. It's crazy down there right now. And the DRC government also now maybe is realizing the Chinese are not bringing in enough money anymore. And two, also the way the Chinese are treating Africans in their own land also might have been a contributing factor. I don't know, but definitely it has to do with that too. Decided that, you know what? Our best bet is to go with the best and the greatest country on this planet Earth today, the United States of America. No ifs and buts about it. I just came across an article in the I think it was in the Economist or so or something like that, either the Bloomberg News or Wall Street Journal, where you had the junta in Niger kicking out some Chinese executives from some of these Chinese industries in Niger also. Hey, so that tells you something, that Africans are coming to realize the real motives behind some of these Chinese companies in Africa. I mean, not all Chinese companies are bad, but at the end of the day, the motives behind Chinese people investing in Africa is one thing, and clear is only for Chinese interests. which I don't blame the Chinese for. It's okay with that. But at the end of the day, the Africans also have to look at what is good for their interest. So if the DRC president looking at everything and saying that, hold on, it is better for us to go with the United States, which can guarantee us security, then you know what? I have no qualms about it. I think it's a good thing for them to do. It's a great thing for the people of DRC to take that security advantage if they get it. That is the best thing they can do, because at the end of the day, you cannot keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, because at the end of the day, what is going to happen? They are losing their lands. And these are the mineral-rich areas. So with the U.S. coming in, guaranteeing security for them, at the end of the day, what is going to happen is that they get to keep their land, and then they have a deal with the United States to start building factories, industries in that area that will help build their economy. So I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing for the Democratic Republic of Congo to have a good overture to the United States of America that will also make America get what they need in terms of rare earth mineral resources. That is the most important thing, is peace. And if that can guarantee peace for the Democratic Republic of Congo, then I'm all for it. Because that's the only thing that Democratic Republic of Congo needs right now. Because the civil war that has been going on for quite too long. And it's been going on because of these fraudulent businessmen and these governments or countries around DRC who are noticing that they have the opportunity to be poaching some of these land, mineral resources areas from DRC, and they will continue to do that in the name of tribalism, fighting for the tribes that live across their borders and all that BS. But that's what they always claim. They always talk about, because we have some tribes that live here that also live in the other part of that country. So we have to go and fight to protect them. I mean, fellows, it's not about no damn tribes. It's all about the mineral resources. So if the DRC government can get the United States in there, and the United States will guarantee them that security that is needed to prevent all this fighting that has been going on for over 30, 40 years now, kudos to them. And I think the president did the right thing. I'm all for it. So fellows, thank you guys for listening. If it's Sunday, it's the Africa Weekly Talk. God bless you guys and have a great week. Peace and love.